And hello there, thank you for joining us here at Coolest Life. My name is Tony, and I'm here to give you some ideas of how to grow your church. Now, what do I know about church? Well, I know a little bit about churches. I've been going to churches pretty much all my life, but let me give you some of my credentials here in just a minute. And I want to share with you what I've been seeing and what I think is some good tips for growing churches there. Or if you want your church to grow, maybe you should try to implement some of these things. I'm just going to give you some suggestions, all 100% just my opinion, but who knows, maybe there's something that can help you grow your church, because that's definitely my goal for this video. You might want to share this video with your friends and neighbors, and definitely your pastor. So come on with us, because you just entered the Coolest Life Church Edition. Well, as I've mentioned, I've gone to church quite a long time, all my life for the most part. Father was a Pentecostal preacher at one time, went in and out of churches, Christian churches, predominantly no Jewish churches, and within the Christian churches, I've been to mostly Baptist churches growing up, or at least churches that were following that doctrine. Okay, so now what really gives me some insight, I should say, is the last 3 years the wife and I have been full-time RVers. So it's given us a chance to go see churches from all around the country. Probably been inside of probably 80 churches. Probably actually seen the process of how about 70 of them operate, as far as being welcoming, the different things that they do as far as advertising and those sort of things. So that's kind of the stuff I want to go with you about, basically about the process. And I made myself some notes here. I've got on my handy duty laptop here. I want to read through some of those just a little bit to kind of keep me in line so I don't miss something. And when we travel to go to some of these churches, I want to say I'm actually actively looking at seeing what they're doing, what makes them successful, how are they going about it, things like that. So I want to share with you some of those things that I found, and I think that are some of the keys that they're doing that's pretty common throughout successful churches. One thing, do you have a church mission? I know our mission is to bring people to Christ. All right, well, there's a lot of different ways to do that. You could do that through missions in other countries. You could do that through evangelizing in the area that you have, but really getting yourself a mission, and that mission of your church should be publicized on your website, and your written materials in your bulletin. There should always be a section of there, what is the mission of the church. Your members should know what the mission of the church is. I'll give you an example of the mission of a church: seeking God passionately, loving others unconditionally, and serving the world selflessly. It's a little broad. Living in God's grace, extending grace to others, and building a grace-filled church community. That was probably from Grace Christian Church. So, but sometimes you want to really dive into what you're a little closer on some of your missions. I'll give you an example. The Cascade Hills Church that I'm a member of here in Columbus, Georgia, is making fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ from irreligious people. So their focus is getting the people that aren't going to church. And I hope that's one of your focuses too, is to find people that aren't going to church to be members of your church, not trying to steal members from other churches. We don't want that. We don't need that. There's way too many people out there right now doing that. And also, I got kind of a sore spot for missionary work. I know other countries need it, need missionaries to be out there, but if you're not supporting a missionary, I think you should support some and not necessarily develop some from your own church. I'm just saying there's too many of them out there right now in other countries that need your support. Instead of us trying to send more people out there from our church and our church being their sole supporter. Why not partnership with another church from another city and support their missionaries? Two, I really think that your mission field is within 20 miles of your church. That is your mission field, and that is where you should be sharing the gospel. Just my opinion, but I think you should really focus on your area and share the gospel in that area. But definitely you want to get yourself a mission statement. You can find a lot of those online. The other thing is church finances. I want to talk about finances just real quick. Your church needs to be out of debt. You need to be out of debt. The only thing you need to be making payments on it is the power bill. You don't need a lease. You need to get out of debt as quickly as possible. I'm a fan of the Dave Ramsey plan, the 7 baby steps. Once you get that for your church, you should really implement that throughout your church so that your people can have that also. Develop your programs to get your members out of debt. If your members are out of debt, they tend to send more money your way. Now, let's face it, you need money to survive in the church. You cannot survive without money. You've got bills to pay. Your pastor needs to be paid. Your music staff needs to be paid. They need money to make that happen. Your audiovisual people, they need to be paid. To do a really good job, to get someone that's definitely devoted and can afford to devote the time that they need to make the church successful. Let's pay those people and let that happen. So you definitely want those people out of debt. And I recommend, as I mentioned, the Dave Ramsey plan, also developing your staff and your staff leaders and your leaders within your church. I'd recommend John Maxwell's programs, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and also Bill Purvis Leadership. So you can check those out online. I'll put links down below to their websites and how you can plug into their programs. Another one is, do you have a logo of your church? A lot of churches don't. I'm going to place some logos up right there so you can kind of see and get an idea of some other churches that have logos. Your logo, my recommendation is, should have a cross in it and possibly should have the word church in it. Maybe, hopefully, your name, but not just a squat logo. I'm not a fan of just a logo, because people that don't know it's a church don't know that it's a church. And so I think that you should have the word church in there somewhere in your logo, like some of these others I just showed you here. So you definitely need to find a logo and develop a logo. Now, where should that logo be? Outside your church, 100%. That logo should be inside your church, on flyers, definitely your website, your bulletins, your bulletin boards, so that everyone knows what that logo is. Clothing for your staff, t-shirts, polos, jackets, hats, mugs. And I'm not saying give that away to your staff. Have your staff pay for their own so they can keep it and take it home and take care of it themselves. Don't swap it out with them. Say, hey, we really hope that maybe you'll buy one of our shirts and you'll wear it. Give them a discount for it, but you should at least recoup some of your costs for those shirts. Car window stickers, magnets, computer stickers, refrigerator magnets, etc. You want to get that logo on those things so people can have those. Banners. If you're doing something outside, I was at a church, they gave away water on Wednesdays at noon to the kids that are getting out of school. But on their they got an easy up, no logos. They've got a table, no banner. They've got water bottles that they're handing, nothing on it that says their church. So they take it home, and their parents don't even know where they got the stuff. So take advantage of those opportunities that you can advertise your church. You definitely need to do that by developing a logo and getting that logo out so the community can see it. Consider changing your name. Ooh, that might First Baptist people are like, what? So consider a lot of larger churches that are growing have dropped the word Baptist. They haven't necessarily dropped the word church, but they might have dropped the words Assembly of God, Methodist. They call themselves words like Champion or Vertical, or my home church is Cascade Hills. It used to be Cascade Hills Baptist Church. They're now Cascade Hills Church. Now, doesn't mean their doctrine has to change. They can still put in their website and that they're still part of the Baptist Convention or what have you. Nothing wrong with that. But as far as being able to brand yourself that you're a church that's accepting. I grew up Pentecostal, and here I am hanging out in Baptist churches. So you definitely want to be inviting that way. Music. Oh my goodness, music. If you are not already, go to a Christian Contemporary. You need to go to Christian Contemporary. You need to get rid of the hymnals. Slowly, over time. Do maybe 2 songs Christian Contemporary, 2 songs hymnals for a while, and then pretty soon phase out the hymnals. A lot of your Christian Contemporary have those songs. They're still singing Old Rugged Cross, but it's a new version, or they're still singing Amazing Grace, but it's a newer version. So definitely want to do that. Of course, doing that, you need to have those audio-visual screens up someplace behind the band or on the sides so that people can read the words from there and not have to have a hymnal. Even if you are singing hymnal songs, put them up on the big screen. Get yourself a big screen if you don't have one. You definitely want to do that. Make sure you have a band, not a choir. Choirs are great for Christmas holiday season time frame. Maybe you actually do something outside of the church, should I say in the church, but not on Sundays. Maybe you're going to do a choir concert. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Do something like that. Or maybe that particular Sunday before Christmas, do the do the do the choir. Nothing wrong with that at all. But as for a consistent every Sunday, don't have a choir. I'm only giving you advice of how what growing churches are doing. They don't have choirs. They just don't. Um, uh, your lead pastor should not be in the band. Your lead pastor, if they are instrumentally inclined or they're a singer, let them be the backup to the backup when someone doesn't show. Your band, as you develop your band, you've got a drummer. Try to get 3 drummers, not at the same time, but so they can swap out different times. Maybe this one here does the first and second Sunday, and the other one does the fourth and third Sunday, whatever it is. So swap them out. Same with your guitarist, same with your organist, your piano, playing the violin, bongos, whatever it is. Try to get more than one person doing that, so the same people don't have to show up every weekend for the band. Spread the wealth, because what that does is that gets people that are in your church, it gets them more involved. And there's people in your church right now, I promise you, if you got 20 people in there sitting in the stands, some of them have got a musical ability. They might play the accordion or whatever it is, but get them in your band and let them know that they don't have to be there every Sunday. And so that's can be inviting. Makes your band grow and makes your congregation grow. Pick some songs that may be related to the current message, and that's important. So, if you're talking about the walls of Jericho, get some about uh, get get a song about tearing down walls, that type of thing. Um, um, and the reason I say that your pastor needs to be out of the band is because your pastor's focus needs to be on that sermon. That sermon is showtime. It's time for them to put their best foot forward and do the best sermon possible. And so you want that pastor to have as much time as possible to do an awesome sermon every week. And that's tough to do. And they need time to do that. They don't need to be worried about what the band is doing, except for, as I mentioned, trying to link up some songs that they can be singing. The band can sing to help them. Also, when you first get into church, 4 songs max. First song should be fast and upbeat. Don't be singing Old Rugged Cross as your first song. Don't be, none of that stuff. Mary, did you know? Don't do that here. Do that here as your 4th song, okay? Do that down the road. So fast song, medium song, slow, more solemn song at the end. Only do 4 songs when you open up, and do 1 song at closing. Maybe you want to close with this 4th song, or maybe you want to jump back over here but close with one of these 4 songs. One other thing it does is it lets your band not have to be ready for all 4 songs. So, or should I say, they're only ready for 4 songs. They don't have to do a 5th one at the end. But you definitely want to have a 5th one at closing there at the end. I want to say this. The altar. If you have an altar, the altar does not need to be in the middle of the stage. I'm just saying, your band should be in the middle of the stage. There should be I'm gonna put a picture of what a lot of them are getting. They're getting something that looks like this, and they bring it out after the band stops. Someone will bring it out, and the pastor will speak off of it. Sometimes the pastor might even bring a stool so they can take a quick seat on. I see a lot of pastors do that. If the pastor doesn't want to sit, don't bring him a stool, but at least have him lecture like this, one that people can see through. So it's not me at the altar and then the congregation. It is me at the altar. So I'm more at one with the people sitting there, so it's more personal. The message becomes more personal because there's no border between us, me having to look around a microphone in my face or what have you. And if you can, get those little microphones that do this, so you can really get a good sound. Replace the batteries at the beginning of every service. Offering. When should the offering be taken? Several churches, especially the older school churches, they take offering in the beginning. Let me ask you this. When you go out to eat, if you're going out to eat at a nice restaurant, do you pay before or after the meal is served? Fast food, you pay before. At a nice restaurant, you pay afterward. Okay, so if I want to collect money from someone, instead of me getting money from them when they first walk in, let them enjoy the service, let them enjoy the sermon, and then I do the offering. If you want to pass the offering plate, fine. That's some do that, but at the beginning of service, you always want to mention tithes and offerings. Do a QR code. Don't actually pass a plate. At the end of service, actually pass a plate. If you're going to pass a plate, only do it at the end of the service. When I say at the end of service, after the sermon is over. Maybe not after some small announcements, or maybe do it during small announcements. You could pass the plate. That would be fine. And of course, at the end, also you want to put up the QR code where a person can click on the QR code with their phone, and then they can bring up how they can pay their tithes and offerings. Website. Boy, there's some websites out there. A couple of things about a website. Everything about your website should be geared toward a new person. This should not be a place that people go to for they're already a member and they're looking for information about the church because this such and such file should be posted there. No. It's your website should be a magnet for new people. So when someone sees it, the first thing they should see is a picture of the church, maybe a picture of the inside, a little bit about your mission, a little bit about some of the things you're doing, and definitely on the front page, you need to have easily to be able to find on the front page when your church services are on Sundays and times. And is this a dress-up church or not? I don't recommend coat and ties requirements. A lot of churches do that. The growing churches I see, they accept t-shirts. I don't typically wear a t-shirt. Half the time I wear a Hawaiian shirt that's got a collar on it. But I will sometimes wear shorts and flip-flops to many churches. It's not a problem with them. Come as you are. Jesus came as he was, didn't he? Yeah, he didn't dress up to go to church. Just saying. Come as you are. Be as inviting as possible. But that website needs to be, that type of information should be on that website. Also, nothing on that website should have a date of over a year old. I saw one just recently. They had pictures of people, they had dates on them, they had people with COVID masks on. Talk about dating. If you're going to have old pictures, don't have, at this day and age, don't have anybody with a COVID mask, and two, don't put a date around it. That might help. But keep those dates off of there if you can. Unless you're going to actively update it at least once a month. I would recommend absolutely no pictures or over a year old, and possibly even none over 6 months old. Get you a nice drone footage of the outside of the church and put that as like a backdrop of your website. So I always like those. I think they're kind of cool. New walk-ins. If I'm a new walk-in coming off the street, I need to be able to find where my first timers is. Okay, so if I'm a first timers, I need to be directed to that, and that's kind of done through that greeter out front. That greeter out front should be welcoming and inviting, nice eyes open. Oh, you're new with us? Oh, let me take you over to our first timers area. And what you do at the first timers area is you exchange information. I expect if I go to a brand new church that they're going to ask me my name, phone number, address. I get it. I expect it. So I get their contact card. I fill out their contact card, let them know what I am. If I need prayers, there'll might be a mark on there if I want a specific prayer for something. In exchange for that, I hand that to you. You should hand me a gift. Now, it doesn't have to be big. It might just be a little bitty bag that's got information about the church. I'm okay with that. I really am. What's nice is if I get a mug with the church logo, maybe a tumbler with the church logo, maybe I get a contact card to invite my friends with the church logo. You get the idea of that? Maybe even a window cling sticker. Because if I enjoyed service, I just might put that window cling on my card today. I want window clings on everybody's car in my church so they can help advertise my church, which is going to have my logo and the name of my church. So be thinking of that. Maybe if you've got a coffee bar, which I highly recommend coffee bars, give that person a free coffee at their next visit or that day's visit, whatever. Um, Maybe a small devotional book inside of that. Just something a little more personal, not just the flyers that you had on the bulletin board. Just something a little more personal. Here's a devotional book. Here's a mug. Here's a window cling. Thank you for your information. We'll be in contact with you. You're interested in life groups? Those type of questions. You want to continue to ask those people those kind of questions. You always want to be mindful of the time and get them in the service as quickly as possible, because you don't want to be talking to those people outside in the lobby when the church service is starting. And I don't mean the sermon. I'm talking about the music. They need to be in there for the music. Find a seat. When you get them seated, seat them in the first 4 rows somewhere. Let them get up front and get the full effect of the church. First 4 rows, not back 4 rows. First 4 rows somewhere. I typically sit with my wife, because we do videos. I typically sit on the first or second row every time. I don't care what church I'm at. One thing I don't like is sometimes you go into churches and they have these. They have the first row is blocked for the band or whoever. I'm like, why are these reserved? The most important person you want at that church is sitting up front is your first time guest. Think about it, let that first time guest up. Some people aren't comfortable with that. I get it, but they need to be sitting toward the front. You don't need to be reserving a whole lot of space up there. They need to have places and give them a choice to where they want to sit. Don't block off a whole section for the people that are there all the time. Let's get those new people in there. And of course, as they get started with you, you want to get them to work as quickly as possible. And let me focus on one other thing before I close out this video. Sermons. It's showtime. Pastor, it's ready to go. Pastor, you got 30 to 45 minutes. Your sermon should never go over 45 minutes. If you're spending the amount of time that you need to on that sermon, you should be able to get everything in that you want to say in 45 minutes. If you can't, you need to break it into 2 sermons. A lot of churches do a series. Pastor wants to talk about the book of whatever, he'll break it into 4 weeks. So every week he hits a particular section. Do that, that's fine. None of those sections should be more than 45 minutes. In fact, 35 is about the nice sweet point. So your sermon is 35. I didn't say church service. Your sermon is 35. So you got music, intros, all the bulletin stuff like that. Recognize first time guest. Hey, if you're a first time guest, go and raise your hand real quick. We just want to see where you are. First time guest, raise your hand. Everybody applauds. Hey, thank you for coming. That's cool. It really is. A lot of churches should do that more. But your sermon should be never more than 45 minutes. Announcements, keep announcements to minimum. Don't go through your whole bulletin. No, if they've got a bulletin, let them read it. That's fine. A lot of churches don't hand out bulletins. Quite frankly, they just don't. It's on the bulletin board. It's on their website. Go check it out. Announcement, keep it to minimum. And anybody doing announcements should not be the pastor. So that should be someone else on staff, whoever that is. Maybe it's the youth pastor. Let them do the announcements. I hope that help you guide and give you some ideas about what growing churches are doing around the country. Check out my other videos on Coolest Life. The playlist is churches from around the country. I think it's churches around the country, but check out some of those. See those churches. See what we see as brand new first timers. I always want to give a little more of the sermon than I do anything else, because I think people need to hear that as often as possible. And the only thing I would like to say in closing is the church should definitely have an altar call. Develop an altar call. There are some great altar calls from around the country. I know Cascade Hills has got one. They do that on YouTube. They'll even show it. They'll have an altar call and some of the different things that our pastors do. So altar calls are important. I mean, for God's sakes, why else are you there? That altar call is way up here on high priorities. It's not the bulletin. It's not the music. The sermon's right in here. Altar call is number one. That's why your church exists, is to bring followers to Christ. So altar call, extremely important. Don't forget that. Make sure you got that in your service. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure like and subscribe and send this to your pastor if you can. I'm going to let you go because I need to get back out here living the coolest life, church edition.